Hello, I'm Tony and we're going to be taking a look at Dishonored 2, which is free from Prime Gaming via the Good Old Games launcher until the end of January 2023. That deadline is for grabbing the redeemable code, by the way. If you get it by then, Good Old Games will let you redeem it up until the 14th of February 2023. You will of course need an account at Good Old Games, which is probably worth doing, as Amazon keep giving away games via them more and more. I've recently put out a video on Dishonored Definitive Edition, so if you haven't seen that, click the link that should be at the top right now and give it a watch, since I'm going to be building on that review rather than rehashing all of the mechanics, since they're broadly the same. In this one I'll mostly be pointing out where they're not. Honestly can't tell if the graphics have been improved from Dishonored to Dishonored 2. I think they have, but if so, it's probably a little bit marginal. I got the impression that the colours were a bit more vibrant, so it could just be a stylistic change. But it gave me the impression that they were a bit better. They're still decent, and there's still no way to change the quality. No low or ultra setting options here. My laptop did seem to struggle a tiny bit more. They're still playable, but I did notice a drop in frames per second. A big change from the first game is that you get a chance to play either Corvo, who you played previously, or Emily, his daughter that you rescued in the first game and put on the throne as Empress. I chose to play Emily, since I'd already rescued her once in the first game. Well, I will do when I've finished the first game. And I didn't want to do it again. Emily and Corvo have different powers, those called abilities the mysterious outsider gives you, and a set of shared powers. One of these shared abilities is bone charm crafting, which gives you the ability to craft bone charms, obviously. You can craft bone charms with up to 4 traits, but there's always a chance of them being corrupted, which gives you a negative effect on the charm. I've not played around with this. It sounds like it could be pretty powerful, and it also sounds like you do need to collect materials in the world. Emily has some amazing stealth based ones, including options like Domino, which can connect up to 4 people if you level it fully, and whatever happens to one person happens to them all, which lets you knock out 4 people at once or assassinate 4 people at once. I haven't managed to test it out yet, but I can see it being a huge boon for any playstyle. Corvo's powers are the same basic ones from the first game. A couple of them have been tweaked slightly to provide more options. I'll be showing them in the background to give you an idea. Gameplay wise, it's basically the same as Dishonored, which is a good thing. You still have the choice of playstyle, and I still went with stealth. So that feeling of freedom has definitely been carried across. The areas for each chapter did feel quite a bit larger to me. I spent a long time on the first major level and was really proud of myself for coming up with really smart ways, well I thought smart ways, to get to what seemed like inaccessible areas. But I still missed half the money available and a few collectibles. Where the hell were they? I could have sworn I'd been everywhere. Completionists will either love the challenge or be driven mad. I felt like having this huge space to explore was great. Unlike the first game, I do have a couple of issues. They're only minor though. The first is the cutscenes. The first game did it really well. In this one, the cutscenes are longer, which are fine, and they have the benefit of being completely skippable this time. But there's often another bit of exposition in another cutscene straight afterwards, which basically just repeats everything. It seems pointless. There's a cutscene or two every now and then, so it's not the biggest deal, but it is compounded a bit by the dialogue the character has throughout the game. There are a bunch of interactable objects in the world that are just there to prompt a line or two from the character that gives us amazing gems like this.
My aunt, if that's really true. She has a twisted way of looking at the world.
Yeah, thanks for that. I knew that though.
She seems to
Phrases will often be triggered by moving into certain areas, and to me it all seemed like pointless stuff like, "This is the tram. That'll take me to where I want to go." Yeah, I know. That's the exact objective I've been following for the last 20 minutes. I knew that. Also, can you shut up? I'm trying to sneak up on this guard. Thanks. It's a minor gripe, I know. It's just that the immersion in the world was such a big deal in the first game, and it takes it away a little. Basically because it annoyed me. Why not annoy everyone? I don't know. Another really minor complaint was with Emily's teleport power. It tries to work out where you want to go, and it jumps. There's not a smooth movement up like Corvo's power. It can be handy for jumping up to ledges sometimes, but there's a 50-50 chance of it just jumping you somewhere you didn't want to go when you're trying to teleport behind someone. It's a shame because using that skill is just really fun, and it just takes away from that a little bit. Something I have noticed in my 7 hours of play is that there's a lot more NPCs in the areas I've been in, and a lot of them are civilians rather than guards. So the stealth puzzle of how to take all the guards out and move around without being seen is that much more complicated, which means it's that much more satisfying to solve. I never got frustrated with it. It never felt unfair. It just needed a little bit more judgment and a little bit more time. Definitely not a complaint. Apart from a couple of minor gripes, this game is almost as good as the first. It's a fantastic game. It feels like a bit of a retread story-wise, but the story was never the strongest part of the first game, so I don't really think it matters here either. It's good enough to motivate you to play through the game, to know why you're doing what you're doing. Once again, I totally recommend this game for those that like adventure games and or stealth-based games. Go get that code. Well, that's 2 great games for 2 this month. Happy days. That's all from me though. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.